Paul Arnold here, sometimes a studying professor, and today I want to talk to you about how to deal with top executives. And I always find it very interesting about how there's a person in the office, they're very confident, and they go in front of the MD or the CEO or the CFO, and they just like lose that confidence which they have. And in many ways, we have got to be super confident in front of these people, as I'll talk in a little while. So one of the very first things you've got to do is you've got to learn how to manage your emotions. You've got to remember a couple of things. A, they're just another normal person, a bit like you. They go home, you know, they go to sleep, they get up in the morning, they do all the stuff that you do. They're just doing it at another level. And the other thing you've also got to remember is that you know more about this subject than they do, because at the end of the day, that's why you are there. You're the expert. So therefore, be aware that you do walk into that room with a degree of expertise and confidence. Now, these people, they're often called lions or bears, you know, in those classic sort of matrix structures, and they are very decisive. They can be abrupt, they can be impatient. So actually, we've got to respect the style which they are. We've got to be flexible. So in other words, be fast, cut to the chase. You know, when David Cameron was running the British government, what he used to do, he used to have meetings segmented down to as small as 5 minutes, because he knew he had to make 100 decisions a day, exactly like what a chief executive has to do, and they need to get through to the core of what the issue is. So I say, do it as a SIP. It's situation, issue, proposal. The current situation is this. The issue that we're facing is that my proposal is that. Therefore, and then they may ask a few questions, but that's the fundamental thing. You cut to the chase. And also remember, focus on what's important for them. Where are they thinking? Not where you're thinking. So we don't want to go down to the dirt. We've got to keep it high. They're thinking about share price. They're thinking about stakeholders outside the company. They're thinking about the overall image of the brand. That's the level you've got to take your conversation up to. And preparation is absolutely key. You know, you can't wing this stuff. It is disrespectful for them to waste their time with you go and ums and that. You've got to be really tight, really clear, really crisp. And you've got to know the answers, you know, for the things you ask for. And the other thing is, like, you're probably going to be in meetings with them at other times, so watch them in advance. Notice what makes them tick. Notice what makes them make their decisions. Notice what they like, notice what they don't like, and start to model that within the way that you present the stuff. So if they're into like very granular detail, you've got to make sure that you've got your costings there, you've got your Gantt chart and things like that. If they're big picture, then frankly, you've got to be talking about that, the vision, the future, and all that stuff. You know, and how your steps are going to be getting you there. You know, so in other words, don't talk German to a French person. It just doesn't work. And I think you've got to stand strong. You know, power admires power. Now, that doesn't mean you're belligerent in front of them. It just means that what you do is that you believe what you're saying and you're going there and you're going to defend it. They do not want to have a person who sort of, you know, falls apart and says, oh, no, you're quite right. No, if you believe it's right, you should stay that. You shouldn't be intimidated by them. So, well, I'm sorry, you know, John, I respect that we have a different point of view, but I really think this is the right way. Now, at some point, you're going to have to work out how, you know, when you back off. But by and large, what they're doing is when they ask the questions, they're not deliberately trying to catch you out. What they're trying to do, to test whether you've done the thinking around this properly. You know, have you explored it from those different perspectives? You know, have you thought about the consequences? You know, what about the cost implications, etc.? And they'll ask those questions. You know, so in other words, you need to have like sort of worked out what the answers of those are. You know, because actually, if you come in and you've answered them all, you know, they're going to like believe you. You know, because at the end of the day, you're the person who's going to be making it happen. So you've therefore got to like demonstrate to them that you can be trusted to go and do this. If not, they'll take it away and give it to another person. You know, so therefore, what you've got to do is you've got to sell yourself in that space. You know. Now, if they ask you a question and you don't know the answer, for God's sake, don't bullshit. You know, these CDPs hate it and they can smell it a million miles and you blow your trust because ultimately you're trying to build trust with these people. So say, sorry, John, I don't know that, you know, Jane, let me get back to you about that one. You know, that's fine. They'd much rather you do that. And often, you know, the thing is, you've really got to listen to these people, because often they do have a great piece. They didn't get to where they got to without knowing a thing or two. So listen to what they're going to say. See whether you can, you know, what they're saying makes sense for what you're going to do, and sort of build that advice in. And the other thing you should be wary of is, you know, they're often being trained to not tell you what to do because they want you to feel empowered, but they ask questions. But, you know, listen carefully to the embedded commands in those questions. I'll share an example. I was doing some work with a great guy called Tim, and we were developing some work, and the global head of actually this organization flew in to have a meeting with us about the work we were proposing. And John is a very respectful man, and he basically was sort of giving us some questions, and at the end of the meeting, you know, Tim and I looked at each other and we knew very clearly that what our proposal was not something that was going to fly with him. He didn't say it directly, he just asked questions that made us smell that basically we should really be re-looking at what we did. So that's what you've got to watch out for. Final thing, don't expect any big thank yous and compliments at the end of it. You know, these are incredibly busy people. They're moving on to the next thing. They're moving on. So don't take it personally, okay? That's just the way in which they are. Anyway, I hope that helped. I've done loads of other videos. I do loads of workshops. I do stuff online. So have a look at my website at the end of this video. Okay, take care. Ciao. Bye.